okay.
Okay, how are you, Alisa?
I'm good. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good. Today we have some of question about values for the American native speakers, or for the culture of the American about the values.
Okay.
And the first question: why do you Americans value their independence so much?
I think a big part of it is because America was founded on the basis of independence and freedom from Britain, which was controlling at the time. So I think it's just one of those core beliefs and foundations that founded this country and that people hold on to so much, and that they do have a lot of freedoms that a lot of other countries don't have. So it's just kind of one of those beliefs that's instilled in you as a young kid growing up in America, learning about the history and reciting the the national anthem and such. So I think it's just kind of one of those things. It's hard to define, but I don't know, it's a tough question. It's one of those things that as an American you just take for granted.
Yeah.
You know, you never really have to sit there and think about why do I value independence, because you've never known anything but that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we will move to the second question. What are the positive and negatives to being independent in the society?
I think positives are you can do what you want to some extent. But then I think that there are also people that take that too far. I think a big example of that is the right to like bear arms and own a gun, and you have the independence and freedom to do that as an American, but there are people that take that way too far, and then they think that, well, I should be able to do whatever I want with it because I have the right to own it. So I think that it's kind of hard to define that in terms of straight black and white positives and negatives,
Yeah.
because there are always going to be positive and negatives to
Yeah.
everything, no
Yeah,
matter what it
yeah.
is. So I think that independence, it's independence, right? Not just, that was the question?
Yeah,
It's for
yeah.
independence? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very liberating. It's not restrictive. It's not oppressive. But on the other side of that, I think that independence can be oppressive in that you maybe need some more structure. I don't know. These are hard questions for
Yeah,
you.
You have a good answers actually. Okay, we will move to the third question.
I don't know that I'm actually answering the question.
Okay, can freedom of speech be taken too far?
Yes and no. I think that people should have the right to say what they want, but I don't think that people should use it as an excuse to be hateful or racist or biased. You know, you have the right to your opinion, but if that opinion is hurtful to other people, I don't think that you should have the right to say, well, I have freedom of speech, so therefore I have the freedom to be a bigot, and I have the freedom to be a hurtful and hateful person, and I have the freedom to be a racist, because there's freedom of speech and then there's decency as a human being, and I don't think that you should use a freedom of speech as an excuse to not be a decent human being.
Okay, and should there be limits to freedom of speech?
I think that that's also kind of a tricky thing, because if you start limiting your freedom of speech, then it's not a freedom of speech anymore. So I don't necessarily think that there should be limitations on that. I just think that people need more common sense about, hey, maybe don't say that.
Yeah. Okay, what are the things that are considered private to the individual and must not ask about them?
I think that depends on the individual,
Yeah.
because there are people that are far more private in general, and like it's not appropriate to ask them, well, how much money is your house worth, or like how much money do you make in a year, or what's your sexual orientation, or things like that, if you don't know them and they're just strangers. But there are also people that will tell you anything that you want to know, even if they are a stranger.
Yeah.
So I think that, are you talking about just asking a stranger?
Yeah.
So I would say probably don't ask about their sexual orientation. Don't ask about their financial information.
Yeah.
Don't ask about their religious views, maybe, because a lot of people can take offense to that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of one of those things where just be polite and ask maybe what their favorite color is until
Yeah.
you get to know them better. Just avoid like hot topic conversations, maybe.
Okay. Do you think the economic system in America has been fair or unfair to the following groups, like native speakers or African American and international people?
To native speakers or Native Americans?
Native American speakers.
Oh, Native American speakers, but not
Yeah.
a Native American people.
Yeah.
So like not Native American
Native,
Indians.
no, Native American, like you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think it means Native American Indians.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that every system in the United States has been unfair to Native Americans and international peoples, in the sense that like Native Americans weren't considered citizens until the late 80s.
Yeah.
And that's not right on a lot of
Yeah.
levels. They are exempt from a lot of, I think all taxes actually. But the economic government doesn't exactly, they kind of just turn a blind eye to Native Americans, and they don't help, but they don't hinder either. So there's a lot of corruption and a lot of debt, and it's just not a good, let's see, how do I say this? I think that Native Americans deserve and need more help than they get, because I think that the government kind of was like, well, we were really crappy to you, so here's some land and you don't have to pay any taxes, but you're on your own. And I don't think that's fair. And while I don't necessarily think that they should pay taxes, I think that they should be more included in society. And maybe if they did pay taxes in the government's eyes, then they would be more included in society. But I still feel very much like they're outcasts. And I think that if they were more included, the government would be a better government, and the Native American people would benefit from it. International people, when they come here and they have the freedom to start their own business and then they become very successful, I think that in that way the economic system is great, because it does to some extent encourage the American dream still, where you can come here and start a business and become successful in your own right. And I think that's an important foundation that is being lost. So it's kind of, again, like two halves of one coin.
Thank you, Alisa.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.